Hey guys, this is Bishi here from League Connect India. To all the viewers who will be watching this interview with Bjergsen and just wondering what LCI is, League Connect India basically focuses on the League of Legends scene with respect to the Indian subcontinent. So we do not currently have any sort of YouTube channel or any sources that cover news information regarding the Indian subcontinent scene for League of Legends. And this is one of our efforts in that avenue to make sure that we can cover it. One of the recent things we did was a semi-pro cup tournament, which you will find on our channel as well to do so. This amazing opportunity has been given to us by Right India, and we thank them so much for getting us an interview with the one, the only Bjergsen, one of the best mid laners on the Western Front. And we were so happy and very nervous to be interviewing Bjergsen for this. At the end of the day, however, I think we made an earnest effort to get a fun and a good interview out of it. And kudos to Bjergsen for giving us such detailed answers to all of the questions that we asked him. Without further ado, here's Bjergsen with League Connect India. Hello, guys. Welcome to LCI's podcast. And today is, I think, one of be the days that I don't think any of us are ever going to forget because we have with us the one, the only TSM's Bjergsen with us, and who will be sharing a lot of his inputs with us today on the podcast. Uh, just to introduce my team so far, we have Engineer Rabbit. Hey, Engineer, what's up? And we have
Hi, what's
Shine,
up?
and we have Shinan as well. Hey, Shai, what's up? And
Hi,
we have
hello.
Bjergsen. Hi, Bjergsen. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Wow, so like it's taking us a little bit of time to fathom that this is actually reality, but we are so happy to have you on board. We've been like trying to figure out how to do this, but I'm just so happy to have you on board. So, basically, how are you doing right now? I just want to start off with just saying, how are you?
I'm pretty good. Just woke up like an hour ago, pretty early on in my day, but all my teammates just came back from, they were home or traveling, and now we're coming back to start practicing. So it
Yeah.
feels really good to have people back in the house again because it kind of sucked sitting alone in the gaming room for so long. So
It,
it's nice to have that energy of other people around me all the time.
definitely. I was just going to ask you that, like, how's the atmosphere been like? You guys are going to start practicing in maybe a couple of weeks or heading up into the summer
In
split?
a couple of days, actually, we start in 3 days, and then we have about a month of practice before LCS starts. So we want to make sure we start strong, so we start early.
Definitely. I believe like Shai also has a few questions regarding that as well. Shai, you can take it up.
Yeah, I just since you answered it already, you start in 3-4 days, I guess.
Hmm.
Uh, like I just wanted to ask about the summer split. What are your expectations for TSM this time?
Uh, Obviously, to do better than we did in the spring split, and at least making it to Worlds somehow, because I would be really disappointed if we didn't. It's going to be difficult because we have such little circuit points right now. So we're going to have to either go first place, which would be the easiest way, because then we get the first seed. And I think other than that, it's really hard for us to actually make it on points. So it's probably going to be either just going first place or going through the gauntlet bracket. So I guess I want to win the whole thing, but the most important is making it to Worlds.
Most
Yeah,
definitely.
obvious, of course, of course. Which team do you see as a real challenge to TSM?
Hmm. I
I
think
mean, you
TL is
haven't.
still really good, even though they might not have the best MSI performance. They even picked it up in the last few days, and they had some pretty good games in the last couple of days against some of the best teams in the world. So I think still TL will be really good. Uh, Echo Fox really came back strong in the third, fourth place match, and I think they can be
Mhm.
really good next split. It seems like they have those games where they just play so well, and Dardoch especially is one of the best junglers in the LCS, I think. So I think Echo Fox, TL, C9, pretty similar teams as last split. Probably 100 Thieves as well. Uh,
Most
I think those are all
definitely.
strong teams, but I would say TL is going to be our biggest uh, opponent. Also because from playing MSI, they've had even more practice. They've been
Exactly.
able to practice against international teams, so they're probably going to be
Right.
even better than Spring Split. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Engineer, do you have a few questions for Bjergsen?
Yeah, I noticed that you started like your TSM as a team started playing in the house, and I saw a couple of your previous interviews. The house has changed over the years, so you had to move to a new place and stuff. And I think you had a dog. I was wondering what happened to it, so I just want to hear about the
Oh yeah.
evolution.
when I first moved to America, I really missed my dog back in Denmark. His name is Ozzy, and so I wanted to get another dog. But then I realized when we started practicing and it got really intense towards the end of the season that it was really difficult for me to have a puppy and take care of him and make sure that he was happy. So eventually I made the hard decision to give him to a friend of mine who also had another dog, and I knew she would take really good care of him. And
Mhm.
I didn't want to keep him out of my own selfishness because obviously I loved him, but it wasn't realistic for me to take care of him on my own while practicing 14 hours a
Right.
day
Yeah.
for playoffs.
Right.
So it was a little premature of me to get a dog, but I know he's happy now. I've seen him even though it's been a few years, and I know he's doing well. But um,
Yep.
it would be. I like having pets in the house, but it's really difficult to take care of a dog on your own, especially
That's
when it's a
true.
puppy.
Apart from that, what changes have you experienced or have you seen in the TSM house over the years?
Oh man, um, I guess with time, I think I've had more and more infrastructure coming in from TSM and more help. Like in this last year, we got 2 cooks, so now we don't really have to worry about food. They just come in and they cook for us. I've lived in this house now for quite a while, actually, maybe 2 or 3 years.
I see.
So it's mostly just been the teammates changing, and I think TSM has put a
Yeah.
bigger and bigger priority on kind of making things easy for us and making sure that everyone has their own rooms. So before we had like analysts and coaches and everyone kind of living in the same house, but and content creators, but now they kind of all moved out in apartments, so we have more space for ourselves, which is really nice.
Yeah, I did see the videos of TSM Myth and other streamers also who TSM has gotten in the banner, and I'm guessing they have moved out to a streamer house as well. So that this TSM house is it just housing the league staff for now?
Yeah, it's just the 5 players, and then if we have anyone visiting, for example, we're having Weldon, the sports psychologist. He's coming in for a week, and then he'll stay in the house. But
I
uh,
see.
normally, it's just the 5 players, which is nice because it's kind of it's usually a really serious environment. So
Hmm.
I guess for people that might be doing other stuff than playing, we're kind of taking up a
Mhm.
lot of space in the house, so it might be better for them to live somewhere else.
I have to ask, how's it going? How's it going along with Zven and Mithy? I remember it's been one split that so far you guys have worked with them, but over time, how has it been like living with them? How's it been like working with them? And what do you have to say about the bot lane of TSM?
It's been really easy because I guess we're all 3 of us are from Europe, so it was easy to kind of get along and bond over things because we've all played in the ULCS and we know a lot of similar people. And there hasn't really been any problems, kind of social wise or living wise.
Mhm.
I do a queue a lot with Zven, and yeah, I don't know. There hasn't really been any problems clashing with them. It's just been really simple and nice.
Yeah, for especially Zven as well. Like I've been watching his streams, and he is one like more entertaining personality that I feel like has come out from EU to NA, and a lot of people love watching his stream, including myself, because he definitely gives a lot of insight and information as well, and also quite funny in his own way. So it's pretty nice to see that.
Yeah, he's really funny.
There's one question that basically wanted to just check with you, like, because you have been a pro since a really long time, and this one of the questions that people feel like when you in this path of becoming pro, what is one of the most difficult things you had to cope up with throughout your journey?
Ooh, that I had to overcome.
Yes,
Like when I throughout my career or kind of when I was starting out.
I think
What do you prefer?
I would prefer when you were starting out because that's when things were new and fresh and a lot of things I'm guessing just came out. So how did you overcome the initial fame and stardom and pressure and everything together to become the personality that you are?
Yeah, I think in the beginning, a big part that I had to kind of overcome was nervousness on stage and being nervous playing against, especially playing against my idols. When I played against people like Xpeke
Expect
and
it.
Alex Each and Froggen, those were big names back then, and I was a nobody. So it's important that you come in with a lot of confidence and you're not afraid of these people that you've looked up to or watched them play in tournaments before. In terms of the stardom, it wasn't too bad because when I played in EULCS back in season 3, League of Legends wasn't nearly as big as it was now. So I would just meet
Yeah.
a couple fans at LCS, and it was pretty simple. I didn't really
I
use
see.
Facebook and Twitter very much. but the game has really blown up since then. So I think it's very different if you start playing now compared to starting back then. So it was good. It wasn't too overwhelming, and it kind of allowed me to ease into it slowly.
Yes, yes, that makes sense. Like, definitely, league has grown a lot, and it's also one of the reasons why India is one of the countries, and on the subcontinent, league has become big, and that's what we're trying to accomplish. And for us, it's basically people like Bjergsen in TSM and the NA LCS stars and ULCS we look up to. Like, a lot of the players in our region are also developing talent, and we try to like get to the point. So a lot of people, pros and people who are climbing up to this ladder, always had this question: how do you cope up with the pressure, and how do you eventually find a way to deal with it? So Ree, thanks for answering that for me. Newton, would you like to ask the next question?
Yeah, definitely. Do you have any pre-game rituals that you do before heading onto stage, or any pet peeve in that way?
I I don't know. I put on my lucky underwear sometimes if I really need to make sure that I win. But other than that, it's just kind of making sure that I'm physically ready. Like I make sure I've eaten. I make sure I'm caffeinated. I've drank some kind of coffee. I use earplugs on stage to kind of, it's like kind of a trigger to get in the zone because I put them in and it cuts out all the noise. I don't need to listen to the casters or the fans. That's kind of my me time and my getting ready time. So probably when I get on stage, I put in my earplugs and then I go into a custom game. That's when I start really getting in the zone. But I thought about having pregame rituals, but I didn't want to have something too crazy, I guess. So if I, for example, if I don't do it one day, I don't want to think, oh no, I couldn't do my pregame ritual. So I try to keep it pretty simple. Yeah.
That's fair. That's pretty interesting. The earplug bit definitely helps to take away from all the other noise in there. Yeah, pretty nice.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite mid champion in the current meta? Hello?
Yeah, we
I
heard you.
think, yeah, I think it's good now. It was just lagging for a second. Let me think. Oh, I think
I think I'm
Zoe
lagging.
or Yasuo. Okay, and you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can. I think Ingenue might be lagged out a little.
Oh, okay. Do you want to wait or?
I think yeah, we'll just wait for a second. Usually a
Yeah,
small
sure.
issue.
No problem.
Thanks. Yeah.
All good.
Indian infrastructure is also developing this between you and I. We're trying to get better connections. Oh, she's back. Yep. Okay, we can
Hi,
resume now.
sorry
Yeah,
about the lag.
it's fine.
No
It's fine.
problem.
Bjergsen
All
was,
good.
gentlemanly enough to wait till you resumed back so you can answer the question for you. So your question was, what's the best mid lane right now? Mid laner
What's
right
his
now.
favorite?
What's your
What's
favorite
his
mid
favorite mid lane champion right now?
to play? Yep.
Yeah, I would say Zoe or Yasuo, because I watched. His name is Showmaker. I think he was rank 1 in Korea, and
Oh.
he did a new playstyle with Zoe where you max W instead of E and you use Hex Flash, and I just thought
Yeah.
that's a lot of fun, kind of changing up the playstyle. It's like
Interesting.
playing a new champion all over again. So I've had a lot of fun with that,
Okay.
and Caps inspired me to play more Yasuo because he's so good. His MSI games are really good. He's
Yeah.
super clean in that champion, and I feel like Yasuo is a champion where you can play an infinite amount of games and you can just keep getting better. There's no ceiling. You can always get better. So it's very rewarding to play those champions that you feel like I can play them a billion times and I can still get like 1% better, you know?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yasuo
Or you can
is
just
good.
mash buttons and get a triple kill on
Yeah.
Yasuo.
Hope for the best. Yeah.
Okay, I have a question. Did you see the new champion spotlight?
For Pyke.
No, I
Did you
didn't
see
actually. But I just heard it's
Okay.
a support and an
Yeah,
assassin at the same
Assassin.
time.
Yeah.
it's an assassin support. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna work. But I didn't actually see it yet.
Basically
Okay.
his
My teammates were
ultimate,
talking about
yeah,
it.
his ultimate, when you kill someone, the person who gave the last assist gets the full goal as well along with you. So basically now supports are
Oh.
incentivized to kill steal because they can basically get the kill steal and then they can
Support
still
kills,
give supports to
yes.
that. So it's gonna be pretty fun chapter.
Exactly.
That's pretty interesting, yeah. I wonder how you're gonna do enough damage to kind of be an assassin and a support at
Yeah,
the
it's
same
it's
time,
I
but
think it's gonna change the way bot lane gets played. I feel like it's gonna be pretty awesome.
yeah,
Should
probably.
Well,
It's
you know
cool.
what
It's
they
cool to
say.
try different things though.
Yeah.
You know what they say. Death is the best CC. So
Yeah, it's just killing them. Don't need to see them if they're dead.
yeah.
All right, so
The
I just had one question. So This is somewhat of an off-topic question, but because like somewhere in my region this happens, I have to ask you. So,
Mhm.
Bjergsen, I don't know if you've ever gotten to play with a higher ping than usual. Usually, what my question to you is like, how much do you think in-game ping affects a person's gameplay? Like someone, let's say,
Oh yeah.
playing at like 100 ping versus like a 40 ping. Do you think that there is a difference in gameplay, or do you think that it's pretty much okay?
I think there's a difference in gameplay for sure. I feel like uh, up to maybe 60 or 70 ping is probably where I would say there isn't too much of a difference. Maybe 70 is kind of on the border, but if you go above 80 or 100 and you're playing against someone like in Korea where they play with 8 ping,
8 ping,
there's
yes.
definitely a
Yeah.
difference. But it also depends what champions you're playing. If you're playing something like Yasuo, you need to have an instant response on everything you do. You need to react with wind wall. You're constantly using Q and E, so it depends kind of how much I guess you have to react to other people's spells because ping really affects that. I think certain champions don't get affected as much, but ping is definitely an issue for some
Definitely.
people.
Thanks a lot for answering. Good. It's actually pretty nice to hear an insight from someone who, is a pro player and who knows about this. Because generally, one of the questions that we have in our community is debates. Because we have a lot of different servers that we connect to. One's EU West and one's on Southeast
Mhm.
Asia. So the ping disparity is one of the questions that gets frequently brought up. And I just feels good to know that like ping is a big deal, and that's what we are of the consensus as well. But just to hear that from you is also like an assurance that definitely after a certain ping gameplay like you said does make a difference. I think
Yeah.
moving on, I think Andromeda has a very interesting set of questions that she'll explain to you right now. Andrew, will you take it up?
The rapid fire, right?
Yep.
Okay, so the next few questions are going to be rapid fire. You will have to answer
Okay.
quickly. Just say the first thing that comes to your mind, anything like off the top of your head. Are you ready?
Okay. Yeah, I'm ready.
All right.
Yeah, let's go.
Rapid fire,
All
let's go.
right.
I'm going to add
Let's
some
go.
music here, like some drum roll or something.
Yeah, for sure. We should do that when we
Yeah,
eventually release the video, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's go.
Okay.
So, which jungler do you have the
Welcome,
most
Parth.
fun playing
Oh, that's
with
Parth.
in?
Yeah. Parth is saying hello in the background. No, Parth,
Hello.
where are you leaving? Okay. Okay, sorry.
All
I'm
right.
I'm ready
I
now.
hope that was not a strategy to buy more time because you're
Yeah.
only going to get 1 second per question.
1 second. Okay.
Uh,
I'm
okay,
ready.
we'll give you a
No,
runtime. Let's go.
Okay, the first question. Which jungler did you have the most fun playing with in TSM? Amazing, Santorin, Svenskeren, or Mike Young?
I would say Svenskeren because he's the one I played with for the longest time, and he's my really good friend. We're both from Denmark, so we have a lot of stuff to, and we have a past together. We played back in Copenhagen Wolves, like I don't know,
Way there.
4 or 5 years
yeah,
ago. It's
way,
so
way
long
back,
ago.
way back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have just a lot of good memories from back then, and he's a really funny guy and easy to get along with. So I would say Dennis or Svenskeren.
All right. Rank these NA mid laners in terms of individual skill. Jenskin, Febivin, Pobelter, and Phoenix.
I would say, this is rapid fire, huh? Jensen, Pobelter, Phoenix, and Fevin are hard. I think it depends on the meta. If it's a meta that suits Phoenix, like Azir, Cassio, then Phoenix is above Fevin. But Fevin is more of an all-around player, so I think it kind of depends on. They have different skill sets, but I think they're similar skill.
Interesting.
All right. If you were to make a dream team with you in the mid lane, who else would you include and in what roles?
Oh man.
It can be any player, past, present, any player.
The
I don't know
Bjergsen
about
fantasy
present.
team.
I think
Yes.
I think he would have
the
to be
fact.
current players because the game just evolves so much over time that someone who might have been the best maybe 2 years ago, they just won't be the best now because everyone is always learning. So I think I don't know. I would just want to play with people that are smarter than me about the game that I can talk to the game about and learn from. So
Right.
maybe just all of Kingzone around me. I'll just take Kingzone. I think I would learn a lot from playing with Gorilla and Prey, and I know those guys a little bit. I've talked to them and met them, and they're really nice guys, and obviously super good at the game. So
Awesome.
Bjergsen
Alright.
on King Zone, I
Bjergsen
guess.
and King. Let's make that the real, like 2018. Let's go. Right?
All right. What four things come to your mind when you hear the word India?
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah. Now this
You
doesn't
don't
have
get
to
mad
be
at
a
me if I
rapid
mess
fire.
up any of these pronunciations, but Taj Mahal.
What?
I like chicken makhani is one of my favorite foods.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh.
awesome.
I guess Parth Naidu comes to mind.
But yeah, that actually makes sense.
And oh my god, I need a fourth one. I need
You had
some help.
tweeted about liking Indian food, right? Maybe you can
Yeah, I like Indian
talk
food.
about
I
one
like
more dish that you
one more
like.
dish. I like the mango lassis also. The
Oh,
Mango
drinks.
Oh.
it's the
lassi.
season for mangoes right
That's
now,
Yeah.
so
different.
maybe you should
Parth told
have
me
like a package.
that's a very common drink in India, is what he told me.
Yes, it
I
is.
like them a
Yeah.
lot.
Yes, it is.
Maybe we should have some mangoes delivered to Bjergsen,
Yeah.
like a gift
Courtesy
from India.
from
Yeah.
LOL India and the LCI team. So you said dal makhani. You said mango lassi. You said Parth Naidu. What's the fourth thing?
Oh, Taj Mahal. The
Oh,
Taj Mahal.
the
I know. That's the number one thing. I think that
have you ever been to India, or would you want to visit it anytime soon?
I've never been, but I'd like to
You
for sure.
have a lot of fans in India. Like if you ever come here, we are gonna shower you with a lot of love and fan support here. Bjergsen is
Nice.
definitely like I mean, this is not just me saying it. Like you are definitely one of the most popular League of Legends players that all people follow in India and the subcontinent region. That includes Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh as well. So
Nice.
if you ever do come to our region, like we'd love to have you and we'd love to host you as much as we could.
Awesome. Yeah,
I
hopefully
think
maybe even Riot could take me there for a tournament or something. That'd be really
Definitely,
cool.
uh,
yes.
I think like a disproportionately large people on the League India community watch his stream religiously. Like,
Definitely.
oh,
Oh,
Bjergsen's
really?
stream is on, so everyone just like goes and tunes in. It's
Nice.
it's crazy. You have a lot of fans here, including me. I
and
play mid lane, so I usually
Nice.
refer to
Yeah,
your
everyone.
streams and tutorials
Everyone.
to sort of pick up stuff. I'm like, oh,
and
he
you have
got
a
him.
and we have a
Want to
lot
go that side and stuff like that.
and we have a lot of loyal TSM fans through thick and thin. Like
Oh
not the kinds
yes.
who go away. Like we have some rivalry because there are some people who like other teams and the TSM fans are always loyal. Like no, yeah, this is our year, this is our year. So it's
That's
ve-
good. That's good. I like
yeah,
that.
that's what
Yeah.
we feel the like the loyalty towards the team as well as Bjergsen itself. I think you are definitely one of the faces for TSM in League of Legends. So we definitely want to support you and hopefully 2018 spring split, summer split, and the worlds. Like this could be it. This could be the year.
Yeah. So I think loyalty is one of the things that we feel the most as players because when we're doing well, a lot of people support us and a lot of people they jump from other teams to support us. But when we start doing badly and there's still fans supporting us, that's kind of the best feeling because they're able to help bring you up when you're having a bad day or you just had a bad game or something. So the loyal fans are very much appreciated.
Definitely.
Right. The next question, which team do you see yourself playing for if it weren't in TSM?
Oh man.
Let's say if TSM was never there, and it's just like
Mhm.
Bjergsen, the pro player that he is. If you had to be a part of a team, which one would it be?
I don't know. It would probably. I mean, it would most likely be a team in NA or EU. I would like to play in Korea, but I think communication is such a big part of the game that I would have to learn to speak Korean in order to
Definitely.
play there.
Right.
It's not just about skill; it's really about how you can work with your teammates and things like that. Which is why imports from Korea don't always work out in NA, especially right away because they need time to learn and adjust to the environment. So probably one of the top organizations in EU RNA like Fnatic, G2, C9.
Oh.
I would say one of those, yeah. TL's on the top right now, but they've kind of been having inconsistent results. But
Hmm.
Fnatic, G2, and C9 have been at the top for
A
many
long
years
time.
now. So probably
I
one of
think
them.
you've mentioned in past interviews that you admire C9 quite a bit, right? Like
Yeah,
where did
I mean, they've kind of been the team that we need to beat for a long time. So they've always been right next to us. And a good scrim partner as well. They're kind of our nemesis, but they're also our good practice partner at the same time.
True.
right? If you were stuck on an island with one champion, who would it be and why?
Oh man. Oh, I know. Rice, because if we survive long enough, he can just teleport me out.
But
I don't want to be on a
that's
freaking
I
that's a
island.
mean,
short
Ryza has like a
distance. That's a short
4,000
distance.
range. You might still end up in the sea if he
Yeah,
uses his ice.
Then we
that's
can
like
swim the rest of the way. That's hopefully.
That's pretty awesome. Chalo. What we did when we announced the podcast was we went to each community for Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and we asked the fans, "Ki, do you have any questions for Bjergsen? We would love to incorporate that as part of our podcast." So this segment is what we're going to call the community-related questions. So I'm going to ask you a bunch of
Okay.
questions asked by the community. So from the Indian League of Legends community, Shady Sayin asks, "What ability from game would you like to have in real life? If there was one ability from any champion that you would want to have in real life, which one would it be?"
Oh my god. I think I don't know. There'd be a lot of good ones. I mean,
All right,
TF
you
ult
can
would be
name a
good
few. Oh, yes.
because you can teleport around. I don't really know how cooldowns would work, but if it's like a 2 minute cooldown, I'm okay with that. That's really not too bad. I think maybe Echo would be cool. You can go back in time.
yeah.
So when I'm playing on stage and I have a bad game, I just
Run back up.
rewind. Or if I get solo killed, oh my
Never
god! All
mind.
right, time to rewind.
That's the illest thing
That'd be
ever,
pretty
bro.
cool.
That will be
Or you
cool.
could kind of mess with people and have some fun, and then
Yeah,
just rewind. That'd be fun.
right.
All right. So next question is asked by Tiffin. He said, if you ever had to become a one-trick pony, which champion would you use to one-trick, or what would you play?
Oh,
Yeah. If Bjergsen was a one-trick
good
pony,
question.
what would Bjergsen be playing?
I think it would have to be one of those champions that I talked about. One of those champions where you can play kind of thousands of games, and I feel like you can always get better.
Ice, right?
So I would
Yes.
say probably Yasuo or
Yes.
Gangplank, maybe. I think those are
Okay.
champions where you can just play so
Right.
many games and you can always get
Wow.
better. Pretty much.
Gangplank also.
And
Interesting.
I feel like
Okay.
I guess the biggest downside of playing one trick is that sometimes your champion is just bad or it gets nerfed or the
Right.
items get nerfed and it's worse for a while. Uh, so that's why I personally wouldn't one trick, but I think Gangplank and Yasuo are so fun. I could probably do it.
Gangplank mid coming probably in summer split. You never know.
Oh yeah,
Gangplank mid.
he was actually playing in
Yes.
Korea last split, I think, against Galio.
Calio,
Yeah,
yeah.
so maybe we'll see.
You'll see. Against the right picks, you might just pull it out. So we have some questions from the Pakistan community. Our username Hamza Haroon, his in-game name is Toxic and Ugly. He asks, when you're climbing, so this is
Nice.
more like a solo queue tip that he's asking from you. So he's like, when you're climbing
Mhm.
solo queue and you get this feeling of doubt that you don't belong in a certain elo, maybe you're just not good enough. How do you deal with that, and how do you deal with that mindset to convince yourself that you are, and like how do you deal with that situation?
Um, the way I see it is that how good you are is more important than your elo. So, for example, if you happen to be in an elo that's better than you are, then just take that as practice and take that as an opportunity to, oh, I get to play against better players for once. So hopefully I can learn something playing against them, or they're going to abuse some of my weaknesses. And he can watch through his replay and think, okay, why are they better than me? Why do I feel like I don't deserve in this elo? Is it the way they see us, the way they trade, the way they team fight? And then he can use that experience to learn. And then if you drop down into a lower elo because you lose, hopefully you can use those losses as a learning opportunity. As long as you don't go full tilt mode because you're losing games. It's just important to see it as, if you're playing against better players than you, that's fine. I mean, almost everyone in the world has a player that's better than them, other than maybe like Faker.
Faker.
So you can learn from playing against opponents better than you. So just take it as a learning experience rather than. I think a lot of people will, like you said, they'll feel self doubt and they will tilt when they start losing. But it's just better to take it as a chance to learn from someone better than you.
Yep.
I'd say.
I hope Toxic and Ugly, when this podcast does go live, I hope you listen to Bjergsen giving you that advice and you use it in your RAN games and you climb, my friend, because that's the way to improve. Shai, do you have questions?
Yeah, there's actually we have teams over here. Uh, we have a couple of good teams. and one of them, Ruthless Gaming, would like to ask, what advice would you give to a team who has peaked regionally? Like, what should they do more?
Or what like to branch
Like
out?
they have, yeah,
Yeah. Mm, I mean, are they able to participate in the like wildcard qualifiers, or how does that work? I assume that's the next step, right? When you've kind of dominated your region
yeah,
and you
your
can't
region,
kind of
yeah,
go further within your region, then you need to look
right,
outside your region. It's been like that for me. There's been times where we were just the best NA team, and
right,
it's really hard when you're on top, because when you're on top, you have to. Luckily, if they're the best in their region, or even us as the best NA, there's still teams that are better than them, so they can
right,
go watch the Korean teams and learn from that. But you're going to reach a point where you're going to have to learn from watching teams that you can't actually play against, and from your own innovation. So once you can't identify your mistakes by someone abusing them, you're just going to have to be extremely critical of yourself and be able to, I guess, identify your mistakes even though no one is taking advantage of it, which is extremely difficult. So that's why it's so hard for people to kind of stay on top. But I would recommend, obviously, try to take your dominant team outside of your region. Maybe they can go into the wildcard qualifiers and potentially play at some of the major tournaments like MSI or Worlds or All Stars, and that would probably be a good
Definitely.
start.
That's your really good advice.
So Densan has a question. What's the best advice you can give any amateur player who's looking to become a pro?
Like an amateur player looking to become a pro player.
hmm I think the biggest thing is just not giving up on your life. Can you hear me okay for these guys? I can tell them
Yeah,
to quiet
yeah.
down.
we see Zven in
No,
the
that's fine.
background, but yeah, you can hear you
Yeah.
quite well.
But I would just say don't give up your whole life. Like, don't stop spending time with your family or friends, or drop out of school or work. You need to really make it before you give up the rest of your life. But you can choose to spend all your free time playing League of Legends and playing to improve. But I think it's a little risky to kind of drop everything before you've actually made it, or before you're on a salary, because it's just too much of a risk, and there's so many people trying to do it. So just, I guess, keep in touch with your regular life, your school, your work, or whatever you have to do, and then you can commit all that time you have outside of work, outside of school, to improving at League. And then once you've made it, you can decide, is it going to be worth it to go full time or not? But in my opinion, it's too risky to just think, I'm going to go pro, I'm going to throw it all away, play 14 hours a day, and it's not going to work for everyone.
That's true.
Bishi, do you want to take the next question?
Yeah, sure. So from the Sri Lankan community, Ash has asked a question. Uh, so basically, the patch changes made mana a little more resource crunch. Like you got more mana early, but you got less in the mid game. So his question is like, what do you think is the state of the mid lane right now, and particularly after these mana changes? Like, is it more centric towards control mages, or do assassins have their own place, or what do you consider? What do you think of the mid lane as of right now?
Mm, I think control mages are a little less popular. There's definitely more viability with kind of assassins, but it seems like it's mostly something like Vladimir, where he's kind of a heavy burst mage, a little bit of LeBlanc, maybe a little bit of Kassadin, but it hasn't quite brought in Sed, Talon, Fizz, and all these assassins at the same time. So I think the mana nerf it was a good change, but it doesn't feel as impactful as I felt like, because they nerfed Doran's Ring, but they also made it so that you can still buy multiple Doran's Rings, and they're not unique anymore. So you can still buy 2 Doran's Rings if you can't afford the more expensive Lost Chapter now. So I haven't felt too many mana problems. It makes blue buff a little bit more important, because if one person has blue buff and the others doesn't, then he can't really keep up with the amount of spamming. But I like the changes towards mana, because there was mana flow band, and there was precision. What's it called? Presence of mind,
Presence of mind, yeah.
which just gave a ridiculous amount of
Amount of
mana
mana.
before and here, and you just turn off your brain and you just spam your
Spams.
abilities. Yeah, I think it's good that there's some limit on mana use, at least, so people have to at least think before they just cast all their spells randomly. So I like the change. I think I've seen people saying that mid lane is a bit weaker than it has been,
Hmm.
And maybe it is, but I think mid lane it has always been an impactful role, and I think it will continue to be an impactful role. Even if you have to play like another champion from another role, like pull in Yasuo from top lane or Irelia from top lane, I think mid will always be an impactful role.
And that's actually a good answer. Makes sense. Uh, so just like an off question, Bjergsen, if you weren't playing League of Legends, or maybe after retirement, what do you have plans in the future for yourself once maybe you're done with
Oh
your
man.
professional career? Have you ever given it a thought, or
I've thought about it, but I haven't really come to a, I guess, consensus because I don't know when it's going to end, or even if I'll be able to do something else with my brand or inside the league scene or gaming scene, even when I'm done just playing. I could be a coach, or maybe I could be more of a streamer, or maybe I could work with a sponsor or be a manager or something. I mean, you don't really know. So it's just really hard for me to say because maybe my career will end in a year or two and league is dead, or maybe I'll continue for another 5 years. So it's just really difficult to say. But I mean, I'm pretty okay with whatever happens. If I have to go back to school, I'm okay with that. But there's a lot of decisions that need to be made once the time comes, I guess, whether I'm going to stay in America or go home to Denmark and kind of what I want to pursue. But I'm not as far as actually knowing what I want to do. So, but I guess I think I'll know more and more the older I get and the more experience I get.
most true?
All right, I have a connecting question to that actually. If
Mhm.
given a choice between, like say after League, you wanted to have a career in League, like being associated with League after that,
Mhm.
would you rather be a caster or a coach?
Oh, that's difficult. I used to think that I could just be a caster because I would have better game knowledge than a lot of the casters, but the casters are really good now. And it's not just about how smart you are about the game, it's really about how you can present and how you can get the crowd hyped and how you can
Right.
keep everyone in the crowd involved and feeling engaged in the game, not just the people that want the really high level advanced game knowledge, even just the people that want to hear, the basic things or the history of the team. So I haven't really thought much about being a caster. I don't know. I feel like in my current state, I probably wouldn't become a caster, but maybe it'll be more attractive to me in the future. I think it's definitely become a harder and harder job to be a caster in the last couple of years, and all the right casters have stepped it up a lot, and I think they're doing a good job now.
True. Uh, if you had to pick, like, if you were not playing mid lane, what other lane would you see yourself playing in League of Legends?
Oh, I like to take responsibility, or I would rather lose a game and feel like it's my fault than lose a game and feel like it's someone else's fault. So I would probably play jungle because I feel like jungle is such an impactful role in the game, and you can kind of use your teammates to get yourself ahead, and then you can use yourself to get your teammates ahead, and it's really dependent on the meta that you're playing and the team comps that you're playing. I think jungle is just such a complicated role, and it feels like every small decision you make matters. If you choose to go for a jungle camp or a gank, where do you go for the gank? Jungle is definitely one of the hardest roles to play, I would say, and I think it would be a fun challenge for me.
True. And also one of the lanes where you get the most blame from in solo queue. If any
Yeah,
uh,
for sure.
high pressure
Because if
moments.
jungle ganks top, then bot is mad. If you gank bot, then top is mad. So what can you do?
Awesome. So
Always blame the jungler.
yeah, that,
Yeah.
that
Yep,
happens a lot.
always
I think
blame the
it's
jungler.
it's it's a universal league thing happening. I think that mostly does it for the round of questions that we have. If there's something you'd like to say to the region, to the fans of India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Pakistan who are watching this podcast, would you have any fans? Because they all love you a lot, and you would love to hear some sort of a message from you, if you could.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching this podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I guess hello to all my long-standing loyal fans, and hello to any new fans that I might have gotten today or watching this video. I hope to get to see you on my stream or hope to meet you in real life, especially getting to go out and potentially meet you guys. I feel like that's the most rewarding thing as a pro player is when you actually get to meet your fans face to face and talk to them. Those are the most, I guess, meaningful experiences for me. So hopefully I get to do that with some of the people watching this.
That's
Yeah.
really nice. Thanks a lot.
We were so hyped going into this podcast, and honestly, we were nervous. But once we started
You didn't
talking
seem
to you,
nervous at
it's
all.
we were all very good at hiding
Very, very
it.
good at
But
hiding our nervousness. Like,
I'm
yeah.
but like talking to you,
I'm
it felt
sweating.
like.
I'm actually sweating.
But I guess talking to you sort of made it feel like, oh, it's cool. You can talk to
Yeah.
him. He's not. So it's a really good experience for us, and I'm pretty sure this is like a once in a lifetime opportunity. So I'm just going to go back and keep savoring the moment over and over again. And I think all of us are going to do that. So
Definitely.
thank you so much for coming and talking to us, and
Yeah, no problem.
Yep. So
Yeah,
that
I think actually some people they will see me or they'll see me and my team out on the street in LA, or if we're out traveling somewhere and they feel like maybe we're too scary to kind of come say hello and approach us and ask us a question, but none of us mind at all. It's awesome to meet fans, especially when we're just out and about and no one is really expecting it. So if anyone who watches this ends up seeing us on the street, don't be afraid to come up and say hello. We really don't mind. We like it a lot.
that's amazing to hear that. So, like, basic from my side as well. Thank you so much for being a part of a podcast, and we want to make sure that we spread out your messages, and we want our region as a whole to also improve League of Legends. There's a lot of talent in our regions, and like through podcasts like these, getting to know Bjergsen, getting to interact, really makes it a lot of fun. And I thank you a lot for being a part of this, and like it was a pleasure having you on board, Bjergsen. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
All right, so that's it for us, guys. Like the podcast. I hope you guys had a fun time talking to Bjergsen, and yeah, we will see you guys later. So that's about it.
All right.
All right,
Take care, everyone.
Bye
take care.
I
bye.
hope
Bye.
you
Bye.
have I hope you have some other good interviews. I heard you're talking to a bunch of other players too, so
Yeah, I will
hope
be getting in touch with Darshan from CLG and from BioDaddy. BioFrost is also going
oh,
to be there,
nice.
right? So it'll be fun to ask them a few questions as well.
Awesome. Yeah. All right.
Awesome. Thanks a
Take
lot,
care, everyone.
Bjergsen. Take
Okay.
care. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay. See ya. Bye bye.
Hey guys, so that does it for the podcast. I realized not everything was smooth and there were some production quality issues, but do forgive us for that. This was our second ever podcast, but we were quite excited to be a part of this with Bjergsen. And if you guys have any feedback, we would love to hear it. Do comment below so that we will look at it and we will implement that as soon as we can. Just to give you guys some more good news, we do have Darshan and Biofrost from CLG as our next guests for episode 3 and 4. So do stay tuned to our channel and subscribe to that. And if you guys have any questions for Darshan and Biofrost, do comment down below. And one of your questions might just get picked, and we will be asking those in the podcast with Darshan and Biofrost. If you guys like the content, do subscribe as it really helps the channel grow. And currently, there are no League of Legends content creators that are focused on the Indian scene, and we want to be one of those creators that can show the world that Indian League of Legends is a big scene and it is developing and growing, and there's a lot of fanfare and attention given to it. So with your likes and your subscribes, we will be able to grow to the point where we'll be able to cover more events happening in the Indian subcontinent region, and we'll be able to give you interviews like these more often. So that's it from me, guys. I'll see you guys next time.